mean, my topic was about following your dreams, right? And like,
Yeah.
what is the nature of that? And it's kind of we kind of touched upon a lot of that when we were talking with Roderick. So, you know, it's interesting because I'm trying to think of what to add really to that. But I would say is as we were talking about Roderick's thing, I started to actually just question my whole topic of following your dreams, and I started going, well, what is a dream? What is the nature of a dream? Like, what is the actual where does that come from? The
Yeah.
bedrock of it? Because I was actually trying to think of like, why am I in the film industry? Maybe that's why I woke up this morning. I was pissed off. I woke up and I was like,
Just
what am I
contemplating
doing?
your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what am I doing? I've got a beautiful wife at home. I've got two kids. They must think that I should be doing something more serious, right? You know. But in all seriousness, but aside from the joke, I guess my question to you guys is like, what do you guys think is is the nature of the dream? And why is it? Why do you think? How do you think people know that it's the thing? Because it's definitely something that you have to rediscover continually if you're pursuing it as a lifelong goal. It's kind of like you're having to relight your pilot light all the time. And so, like, how are you guys doing that? I don't have an answer for me because it's been
Yeah.
so long. I forgot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think Roderick has
Yeah.
something bubbling in his mind.
I mean, I know for me, it's like it just extends all the way back to as far as I can remember as a kid, and it hasn't changed. It's just all the way back to that. So if I reconnect to that side of me, the kid, it's always there. And the dream is personally, it's I just had like certain images or literally dreams that I remember, and I'm like, I must make this. Like I just have to make these images and recreate them in real life and see if it's possible to do that. And it basically just hasn't changed. So I guess like in that way, like it's sort
And it
of like
was the
evolved.
painting you saw was a plane flying into two buildings or something. Was that?
Whoa, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
That came later, but yeah,
That was crazy, man.
yeah,
Sorry, I derailed you completely.
yeah,
That was funny though, but it was crazy.
yeah. So like, apart from that picture, there are also other ones that on the list of yeah. I don't know. It's just like just imagination for me. It's like anything that taps into imagination. When I see like an art, piece of art, whatever. I mean, I'm like obsessed with Pinterest. I just collect images on there and make boards and collections of painters and everything, and for years now. So like that, just sometimes for me because I'm visual, like seeing those things reminds me that it's possible that someone else has created images that feel a little bit similar to the stuff I want to kind of make, and it's like, oh, this is possible to do. It keeps me going. So other artists, and then any other kind of artistic medium like movies and a lot of music as well, and traveling and nature. I love nature, anything nature related. I used to read like a bunch of nature books when I was little, like learning about like ecosystems and animals and structures and stuff. And this all just goes into this like wanting to create imagery of things like that, whatever it ends up being, like paintings or games or whatever. It's just that it's more of an abstract level. It's just a feeling, you want to tap into this sort of like interior imaginary world, I guess. But yeah, that's my bit.
The cool thing with what you just said too about collecting all these Pinterest stuff, like you don't even realize that someone out there could be doing that with your art. That you have, like, your art could be on someone's Pinterest board. That's a pretty cool thought to have.
You know, it's almost like the equivalent of like collecting nuts. Like you're storing nuts for the winter, and then you go inside, and then you go, okay, and you're kind of filling yourself with. You're refilling yourself with the art of the world. I say weird. I got the weirdest thing out. They don't make any sense, right? But
yeah, kind of. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a little overdone on that end, and I'm like, all right, I need to make something now. Like it's too much consumption, and I got to go ahead and stop being in the head, because I think the more that you that I do that, and maybe for you guys too, that the more gap is created between what you can actually make craft wise and what your vision is, because then your vision gets so far ahead. You can imagine things like put together a project like this would be amazing, and it might actually be a good idea, but your level of craft needs to catch up to that. So you try to make it like, fuck, I can't pull this shot off, or like this. I need to learn about this lighting or this thing before I can really pull that off. So then it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Keep doing the work as you're thinking of ideas at the same time. There's like a sort of pacing that the two have to happen, I think.
So I think going back to even kind of what your topic was when you're talking about your passion project, that's when things can kind of adapt. You might be like, oh, I can't quite nail this scene, whether it's a game or movie, or whatever it is, or writing or painting currently, but I can try my best. And then you've kind of make peace with that, and you put it out, and then you kind of have another goal where it's like, okay, I didn't quite nail that, but now that I've finished the one painting or that one thing, I am better now, and now I can try again in a different way and have a new goal, or try to nail that thing you missed the last time. So it's always good to have something to work toward.
Yeah, I think it's like putting what you're saying there, I kind of interpret as spending a lot of time in like the inside the mind, and not actually creating something objective to bounce off. When you make the thing, you see what something can be, and then it gives you direction, as opposed to always getting the direction internally. That can be what can happen, I guess, from not doing a thing. Yeah, because I agree. It's like it gives you direction by actually trying something and just being in the momentum of making.
Yeah. Liam, what are your thoughts on it?
On dreams, and it's a really good deep question. You mean like in general, or like for me? Sorry, well, just like
it's such a broad thing. I mean, from my perspective, I guess just to recap, where we started, or where it started, it was, having a dream and being like, okay, why is that the dream? How do you constantly go back to it? Because I've had moments where I stop myself and I go, why do I care? Like, I actually I can't remember why I care right now. And sometimes that's very freeing. Sometimes then I'm just kind of like, oh, I actually don't care. Oh, you catch that you've been, Cooper, you're smiling because do you actually relate to what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Cooper
there's a freedom to, and a danger to happiness. I think happiness, fulfillment can sometimes be the enemy of art. And when your life is going really good, why do anything? Comfort zones. A lot of these comfort things are great, but in my experience, they can be damaging to creative processes.
I would agree.
Yeah. Not always, but yeah.
I remember when Kasumi and I first started dating, and she's asked me this like numerous times throughout our relationship for the last like 11 years, like, what's your dream and everything like that. And, what kind of family values do you want for, like, when we're talking towards kids down the line, like what family values and like things would you want to do as a family? When she'd ask me like what's your dream, I'd always just say like, oh, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy, kind of thing. And I was just reading this book the other day, Tiny Humans, Big Emotions, like how to navigate kids and their tantrums and their like emotional landscape and everything. And the woman in the book, she was leading the class, and she said, I was asking my class of parents, what do you want? What's the what did she say? God, I forgot.
She was asking about, I'm assuming she's going to be asking, what do you want for your children's future?
What are the dreams that you want? Like, what's the dream for your child? Like, what do you want the best thing to happen? And everyone, she said 99% of parents said, I just want my kids to be happy. But she was like, but no one's ever always happy. No one's always happy. Like, there's always going to be people like with a grudge or upset, or I kicked over those blocks of Billy's upset. And she said, it's more about, what kind of character do you want to have your children to be built from, like empathy and, patience and sympathy. And I kind of like was looking back and I was like, where I'm now, like in my work experience, is definitely not what I thought I'd get into. But my dream is, I think now, probably trying to just wrap my head around like being a parent and like making like my kids like better than, I guess. I know it sounds cliche and generic, but it's kind of the truth, because like, I don't really have any other that I'm not, I'm just gonna just go about with my life, work hard. But I'm more excited, I think, about like just building, helping, guiding those kids to being like better people in this world. Because talking about social media, Clayton was talking about earlier, and how it's just completely fucked up this whole generation of kids. The Anxious Generation. Read that book; it's phenomenal. It's all about how 2011 or 2010, when the smartphone came out, that's the year mental health declined in children, and has steadily declined from all those years. Smartphones, social media,
and everyone
it's,
probably.
it's screwed. It's messed up.
I agree with you more. You see it when you give your kid any type of entertainment now. I even see it in the cartoons. Like, cartoons are not what they used to be.
No, they're so like fast paced and like so bright. Coco Melon.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there's a color science that they're using now to make the kids really like stimulated and addicted to it. I always thought it was a bunch of quackery when I heard it. And then I actually noticed the difference when I show my son a cartoon from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
When I show him a modern cartoon, I kid you not, he has a mental breakdown afterwards and has tantrums and stuff after he watches Bluey. If I turn Bluey off, he goes nuts. If I turn off the other stuff, he's kind of a little bit more tame.
Okay. Yeah, Bluey, is a bit more chill. I know Coco Melon, they were always saying they've manufactured Coco Melon to be like slot machines in a Las Vegas casino, bright colors and certain bright colors. And they had kids, and they did a study, and they had kids in a room watching a screen, and they had two screens, and they would flick like normal images of like animals and space and, firefighters on one screen. And anytime the kid was watching one screen and got distracted, they would mark that down and like, okay, well, we got to go back to Coco Melon and change the brightness or make it more repetitive. Like, no, tap, 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 all that repetitiveness. They said it's basically like a drug. And they were saying that in the future, there should be, and I don't know if there's discussions going on about now, but like shows like Coco Melon should have like disclaimer warnings at the beginning, because they're like, this is just highly addictive and it's been constructed to suck your kids' brains. So anyways, at the end of the day, my dream is to protect my kids and not really protect, because the Anxious Generation also talks about your kids need to go out and not break bones, but get hurt. Go to a park. They don't build parks with the old structures like they used to, where kids would more frequently get hurt. Now everything's too overprotected. You can't. In the States, you can't play tag in the school because you're gonna get sued by hurting another kid. That kind of thing. Just be protective, but not overly protective. That's my dream, and make sure they're good human beings.
I think that's pretty awesome, man.
How are you, Cooper?
Mine, I kind of, again, had I think an advantage where I feel like I knew what I wanted to do when I was like 5. And it was actually making video games. And then I realized I was not smart enough to make video games. So I had to put that one on hold. And then I feel like in high school, the closest thing to being able to tell stories like a video game was acting and movies. And so that it was high school where I was like, okay, I want to act. And then from acting in high school in Edmonton, there was no movies being done there at the time. And so I had to realize, I was like, okay, I got to start writing my own movies. And so I started adding all these skills to my repertoire just out of necessity. And then, 20 years later, I'm here doing all of it now. And it came full circle. Once I finished my first movie, I realized I knew enough people that I could make a video game. And so now I am doing kind of what I originally wanted to do. And yeah, I don't know. It was cool to see it come full circle, but it has adapted. You know, like I said, all I originally wanted to do when I was in high school was just act. Like all I wanted to do was make like really dumb comedies. I was big into Broken Lizard in high school, so like Super Troopers, all those guys, and we made skits and we did a lot of dumb stuff, and that's slowly changed as I've grown in writing and acting and all that kind of stuff. So I am doing what I've always wanted to do in some capacity, but I always have this weird dark thought going along with you, Clayton, where you're like, where do these come from, or is it kind of a destiny path kind of thing? And I'm always like, no, it can't. Like your dream can't actually be the one and only thing, because if I got hit by a car and lost all my limbs or something, I can't be an actor. I can't write, and so obviously I need to adapt, and I would need to have a new dream. So I always keep that in the back of my mind to stop myself from having my dream define me, and having my dream define where I get my happiness and fulfillment from, because I know that it could be taken away at any moment.
What you just said, Cooper, is actually what I've been trying to say this whole time. This whole conversation has been in a roundabout way where you articulated it actually pretty well, Like, what is the definition of the dream? Because there is the dream, but if it was taken away, or if there was a reason why the dream ended, what's underneath that?
Yeah.
Whatever's underneath the hood must actually be the thing. But I don't know if you can really discover what that is.